Like,
US.
Here's when I go
And that
ways getting food. What are common habits in France that are not common in Korea?
when we greet each other, usually we do like kiss on the cheeks, and here it's like you don't do that at all. And if you try to do this, people are gonna be like, what are you doing? And that happened to me actually. Like I wanted to greet someone, and out of habit I leaned in and they were like, what the heck?
What is the habits you picked up in Korea that you're proud of?
Getting over being uncomfortable. Being here helped me understand that in myself, that like I really enjoy being uncomfortable with being uncomfortable.
What's something that Koreans do that always surprises you?
When I hear the on the street, you know, like the and then spitting, it's gross, man. It's really gross.
These are some habits you'll pick up when you come to Korea. What are some habits you've picked up being in Korea?
being on the subway, I've gotten used to like being really crammed together with people. I was like super uncomfortable with that, but now that I've been commuting every day, it's like I'm kind of used to being like smashed together with people, very invading my personal space, but like I don't know, I'm just used to that now.
And what is one habit you've had to drop coming to Korea?
Definitely, I think Americans don't know this, but blowing your nose in public, like do not do that in Korea. I had a Korean friend tell me like that's actually really rude. It was like very embarrassing at first because I didn't know, like in the US you just do that in a restaurant and it's fine, like if the food's spicy or whatever, but yeah, in Korea it's rude, so don't do that.
What is one habit you've picked up in Korea that you're proud of?
Kind of like having a second eye out for pedestrians in the US. Like if I'm looking at my phone, I can just walk straight. But for some reason in Korea, you need to be on the lookout because people will just walk randomly and like bump into you. Like you have to like avoid people on the sidewalk. There's no like pedestrian etiquette here, I feel like.
What is one bad habit you've picked up living in Korea?
I think spitting while smoking is like everyone does it and I started doing it. It's kind of gross. Like I don't know. I guess that's a bad habit.
What is something Americans should know before coming to Korea?
One thing that's kind of like random that I wouldn't have guessed is that before you come to Korea in the US, it's more normal for you to make prolonged eye contact while you're talking to somebody. And especially with like strangers, if you're just saying, hey, how are you? Like at the grocery store, you can make normal long eye contact, but in Korea, it's more like maybe more scary for them. I guess the foreigner eyes are also kind of scary, like blue-eyed people like staring into your soul. So like maybe not so much eye contact in Korea, yeah.
And how much do you need to move to Korea?
Well, if you're coming from the US, you need at least like $1,500 for the flight. And then getting settled, if you're doing it like bare minimum, you need like, well, if you're doing like 90 days, let's say, you'll need probably like $500K for each month. So let's say like 1.5 million won for living, and then maybe account for like 20,000 won per day, I would say, for food. So total, if you want to do a 90-day trip, I would say you probably need $4,000, something like that.
What are habits you've picked up in Korea?
Definitely, I always bow whenever I do anything. Like anytime I go into a building or anytime I say thank you or sorry to somebody, I'm like, oh, sorry. So yeah, that's a big one. I always like give things with two hands almost all the time.
So what are some habits you had to drop coming to Korea?
So I was born in Minnesota, and when I first moved to Korea, everybody was like, you're not American, you have such a weird accent. I was like, what do you mean? They're like, oh, you say bag instead of bag, and dragon instead of dragon. So now I pronounce all of my A's less harshly. And so actually I went back to the US recently, and my mom was talking and she was like, blah, 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 bag. And I was like, a what? And she was like, bag. And I was like, a what, Mom? Another one that I dropped would be like talking to people randomly, making small talk. I absolutely despise small talk now. I hate it. If I'm in an elevator with somebody and they start talking to me, I'm like,
What are some habits that are common back in America that are not common here in Korea?
I would say a habit that people tend to have is like escalators. You guys, we stand on the right and you pass on the left. You don't stand on both sides because sometimes people are in a hurry. So that's like a really common thing I see. Also, I just recently went to the States for Christmas. And when I got to the Incheon airport, I was waiting for my luggage. And there was some man who was definitely from America. And I knew because he was whistling to himself, but also to everybody else. And I'm sorry, I don't want to hear that.
What are some Korean habits you've picked up that you're proud of?
I think I've become more polite just in terms of like how I regard people, because we pay a lot more attention to people's ages, especially when we speak. So I think my speech patterns have become more polite, and I've become more mindful about what I'm saying like while I'm talking. I actually really enjoy like the bow when I go, like, you know, I think it's very natural for me. Like, I don't even think about it anymore, but I think it's respectful in a way.
Living in Korea 3.5 years now, what are some habits you've picked up in Korea?
Some of my habits. First one, I'm surrounded by K-beauty, so I take a lot more care of my skin, invest a lot more money into it. I notice other people's skin more, want to have that glass skin appearance. I'm running everywhere. When I was crossing the street before, I took my time. The light's red, I would jaywalk. Now I'm a law-abiding citizen. If it's red, don't cross the street. You'll get knocked out, killed. Even like go 5-10 steps, I'm running. Everyone here is running. It's always running everywhere.
What are some habits that are common back in America that are not common in Korea?
When people go out to shop, like to a grocery store or something, you wear sweatpants, you don't really care too much about your appearance. Here people are wearing sweatpants too, but they fit nicely, they're good quality. People just are more cautious about how they look. Recently I had a coworker too. I said, "Oh, you look so pretty." She had a lot of makeup on, she had a nice outfit. I said, "Where are you going?" And she said, "Oh, just it's for the people in the subway." So people are just cautious about taking care of themselves here a little bit more than US. I don't think it's necessarily a good habit or bad habit. It's just something that's a little bit surprising sometimes.
And what are some habits you've had to drop living in Korea?
Eating fruit, it's too expensive. So if I want fruit, I gotta save up a month to buy a pack of strawberries.
What are some good habits you've picked up in Korea?
I don't take as many taxis, to be honest. The public transit works really well, so bus, subway. I take a taxi if it's late at night sometimes because it's not expensive, but I save money by taking public transit. Also, if you're taking bus or subway, you have to walk a little bit more, so I'm a bit more active in my just daily routine.
And what are some bad habits you've picked up in Korea?
I'm spending a lot on delivery. It's so convenient, it's affordable. It's not always healthy. I don't spend money on taxis, I spend on delivery food.
Coupang Eats?
Yeah, Coupang Eats, because it's the best. It's in English.
What are some habits you've picked up living in Korea?
I've noticed that when I get frustrated, you know how Korean people go like, "Aish." I do that. I've started to do that also when I get frustrated. Or, well, I wasn't a big drinker until I moved here. So when I go out, I drink to drink. Like,
Are there any good habits you've picked up living in Korea?
I think I'm more motivated to do things just because I see everybody else out and doing things. So I'm like, oh, there's this cute pop-up, everyone's going to it, let's go. Whereas back home, I would be like, it's whatever, I'm not doing that. But, and also just seeing like everyone's drive to like study so hard, it's also made me be like, okay, I should probably lock in, probably study some more also.
And bad habits you've picked up living in Korea?
I think because I'm American, I'm very stuck in my ways. So I hear people say that since they've moved here, like they've picked up that they also like spit on the ground and do things. I don't know, I just can't get with it. It's really gross to me. So a lot of things, I don't think I've picked up any bad habits.
And what's an advice you'd give to Americans that would like to move out of Korea?
I would say know who you are. When you come here, don't expect like your life to fall into place. Because at the end of the day, this is just another country and everyone's the same everywhere. So you're not going to come here and have some big epiphany and finally be like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. This is why I'm here. Yeah, just come here because you want to, not because you're trying to find yourself.
What habits have you picked up in Korea?
Being European like I am, I was not used to like taking my shoes off before getting into like private places, but now I do. I take my shoes off even like at home. Also, I've picked up the habit of not caring about my belongings, even in public cafes, restaurants, in the subway. I can leave my wallet, my phone, my devices out in the open for everyone to see. I can go to the toilet, take a walk for 20 minutes, and not care that they're not going to be there. So that's pretty cool, but it's also dangerous when I go back home. because you cannot do that back there.
What are habits that are common back in your country that are not common in Korea?
Definitely. When we greet, we give 2 kisses on the cheeks, especially just men to women or women to women. We're also like really touchy, so like we like physical touch and like proximity, but Koreans are very like distant in that sense. So like when I talk to people, like I have to remind myself that this is not like Southern Europe, so I have to like always like keep a distance from what I would do like back home.
What is a good habit you've picked up in Korea?
I tend to bow now when I greet or when I say thank you, which sounds ridiculous, but it's actually like I find it like quite respectful. So like I just go like 안녕하세요, 네, 감사합니다, and I still do it back home. People think it's weird, but I think it's like a way to show respect, and it's actually not bad.
And what are some bad habits you've picked up in Korea?
Well, I want to say that one of the things that I picked up here is there will be like occasions where I will forget to greet people, especially like going on the bus. Like in my hometown, I tend to always say good morning, good evening, hello, goodbye, thank you to like bus drivers, to staff in buildings, and here people just don't. So it's actually quite awkward sometimes if you actually greet or say hello to people. So I tend to like not do it that often anymore, especially in my building. We've got like 4 elevators, so there'll be times where like you'll arrive to the lobby, and your neighbor will deliberately choose a different elevator, even if your elevator is already like there ready to pick you up. So they'll just like switch and go like to the other elevator because they feel awkward like taking the same elevator as you. So I guess like I've also been like doing that, which is really stupid because like I just waste time. So
What are some habits you have picked up living in Korea?
Always receiving things with 2 hands to be like polite, and in France we don't do that, so it's kind of new for me. And also the thing of saying like always you know, when you're talking to someone to show that you're actually interested in what they're saying. So I always do that, and even when I go back to France I do it, and it's kind of funny because in France we absolutely don't do that, and they're like, why are you making sound when you're listening to me? It's kind of weird, but I think it's cute.
Are there any habits you've picked up in Korea that you're proud of?
I guess being more on time, because French people are always late, so I became a little bit more punctual.
What are common habits in France that are not common in Korea?
When we greet each other, usually we do like kiss on the cheeks, and here it's like you don't do that at all. And if you try to do this, people are gonna be like, what are you doing? And that happened to me actually. Like the first times I came here, I wanted to greet someone, and out of habit, I leaned in and they were like, what the heck? So it was like really weird, but yeah, that's something we do in France.
What are some bad habits you've picked up in Korea?
Being nosy, because I'm not a nosy person, but here I noticed that anything that is going on, people are gonna be like, what's going on? And like look and be super interested. And usually I'm just like chilling in my own little spot, but now I'm like, what's going on? Why is this person screaming? Is this couple fighting? I became super nosy.
What habits have you had to drop coming to Korea?
This one is kind of sad because I'm more like extroverted, and so I'm usually talking to anyone, like any stranger. I can become friends with strangers easily, but here if you talk to a stranger it's kind of weird, and especially if you make eye contact with them. And I'm someone who just usually walks around and I'm like smiling, you know, in a good mood. And if I make eye contact with people and smile, they're gonna look at me like kind of confused or not smile back sometimes. I guess like girls can smile back, but most of the time they're giving me like weird looks like, what does she want?
What are some habits you've picked up living in Korea?
One thing that I've definitely picked up in Korea for sure would be fashion. They have a variety of different things that you could wear. You could be your own person, but it's up to you to decide what you want to do with it. So.
What are some habits you've had to stop while in Korea?
One habit I definitely had to stop while being out here is lust. A lot of people are just out there chasing, and there's so many foreigners, so much going on. You know what I'm saying? Like you have to stay aware and not be caught up with the wrong people.
Are they habits that are common back in your home country, America, that are not common in Korea?
It's all the same. It's just in a different area, and people just carry themselves a different way. People want to say it's different, but it's not. It's up to you to decide whether it's different or not.
Other than fashion, what is the habits you picked up in Korea that you're proud of?
Getting over being uncomfortable. Being here helped me understand that in myself that like I really enjoy being uncomfortable with being uncomfortable. So it's a great experience. I would recommend anybody to come out here.
What is one bad habit you picked up in Korea?
Drinking for sure. Everybody drinks out here, so you got to keep up with these Koreans or you'll be left in the dust.
What is one advice you'd give to other Americans that would like to move out to Korea?
Don't get caught up doing the same things. Partying is easy. Drinking is easy. Hanging out with the same people is easy. But exploring, seeing all these different things that you can do, that's what you want to indulge in. The things that you can only do once in a lifetime. So don't get caught up doing the same things.
What are some habits you've picked up in Korea?
I don't know if I'd call it a habit exactly, but something that's changed that's like a habit is being accustomed to my personal space being a lot smaller. And to me, I guess it's a habit because I have to do it all the time. Whereas in the States, I have a lot more personal space. Here, I have a lot less.
What are some habits you've had to stop while in Korea?
Maybe like, let's say we're pals and we take the train or something, right? And we want to chit-chat on the train. That's not bad or wrong, but maybe it's frowned upon, and I do my best to respect the space. And sometimes that means you got to shut up on the train, or there are places like that.
Are they habits that are common in your country, back in America, that is not common in Korea?
In New York, on the train, on the subway, if someone bumps you, I've never had this experience personally, but I've seen it happen. People will literally start a fight. People will, if like they step on your shoe or something, or they brush you the wrong way, that's trouble. It really could be trouble, seriously. Whereas here, it's just like, it's commonplace. People don't think, you're the only one thinking twice about it. Definitely not the ajoshi who bumped up against you.
What are some bad habits you've picked up in Korea?
Also bumping into people now. I work really hard to not do that. And I'm doing fine. I'm doing a good job, but I wish I were doing a great job.
Based on your personal opinion, why do you think Koreans always are on their phone like while on the street, like just walking?
Culturally, in many ways, Seoul especially, can be very isolating. Like you just kind of put your head down and work, or like, it's a busy place, you know? Most of the time, people's preferred company is themselves. And kind of an easy way to do that is to just like play Tetris on your phone, or like play Wordle, or whatever you do.
What are some habits you've picked up in Korea?
Oh, I think waking up early and just having an iced Americano, and I think salt bread in the morning, every morning, I think. Yeah. Salt bread is delicious. Yeah, we don't have as much in California, but it's everywhere here and it's so good.
What are some habits you've had to stop while in Korea?
For me, it had to be to not go to sleep so early. I think everything here opens pretty late, and there's a lot of bars, a lot of really good food places. So I think for me, usually I try to sleep a little early because I go to school and I go to work. So I sleep a little bit early, but since I've been here, I've been sleeping about 2 a.m. every day and just getting food and drinks afterwards. So it's pretty great.
What are habits common back in California that isn't common in Korea?
I find that you're very much to yourself here, so you don't talk to a lot of people, especially if you're a foreigner coming here. So I think some Californians, like myself, we like to meet people, we like to talk to strangers and just strap our conversation. But in Korea, everyone's very much to themselves. So it's either on the subway or on the street here, everyone's pretty much to themselves. No one really talks to anybody except you're with your friend or your partner.
What is one bad habit you picked up in Korea?
I think I've developed a sweet tooth. You know, in California, I don't eat a lot of sweets in California, but when I'm here, I think it just, because you're in Korea, you just want to have an iced Americano, even though it's 19 degrees outside and having salt bread every morning. I'm not a sweet person, but since I've been here, I've eaten a lot of sweets. So I probably need to go back and start working out, I think. So, but you know what? Everyone here likes to walk. So I think the difference between here in California is our subway system is not so great, not yet anyway. Everyone drives their own car or their own vehicle. Here, everyone takes the bus or public transit here, and everyone walks here. So I can see where you can eat a lot of sweets and be perfectly fine because you probably walk it all off by the time that you're back at home. So
what's something that Koreans do that always surprises you?
When I hear the on the street, like the and then spitting on the street, especially when it's a young person, I'm like, wait, why? It's gross, man. It's really gross.
Well, thank you for watching the video. If you'd love to see more like this, I'd love for you to subscribe and also turn on the notification for when new videos are out. And also, if you'd love to check out my guidebook that covers everything about Seoul for you to travel like a local and also comfortably, I'll have all the links in the description. See you in the next video.